Welcome to The Real Tea. I'm your host, Tammy Murphy, broker-owner of RH2L, bringing Miami Valley real homes to love.
And I'm Ellie Sollenberger to give my perspective as a home buyer.
We're going to give you the key to Miami Valley real estate. Well, I think this would have been a perfect time to have our mimosas on today's show so that we would just relax a little bit. But we have a new person in our hot seat, so let me introduce Tammy Lilly. Is a past client, a friend of mine who's actually we've worked together for about 15 years. It's been a long time. And what brings you here today, obviously, is to share recent experience and obviously something that I think more people are starting to hear about and have to deal with. And if we can share this information, as hard as some of it might be, to warn or at least educate, raise the questions for others, this is the time to really talk about how our seniors are having issues and being dealt with and sometimes being taken advantage of. So, Tammy, if you don't mind, you want to give us a little bit of background?
Well, my mom passed away in December. She had dementia the last quite a few years of her life, and before that, when my father passed away in 2003, I guess she's seen a commercial for reverse mortgage and got him out there. She's grieving, of course, because my dad passed away, and they got her to sign up for it.
And you didn't know about this?
No, I lived in another state at that time and found out about it when it was too late. It was already signed and done. So I talked to them, and of course they won't work with you. There's nothing. She signed.
Yep.
Nothing you can do. And she didn't understand. She didn't understand what she was really signing. Mm-hmm. You know, she just knew she wasn't going to have a house payment.
Right.
And so she signed up for it, and I'm like, okay, well, there's nothing we can do. Till years later, and that's when you find out how bad it is.
Right. So I know I was at our annual conference, and I got a phone call from you because I was in the airport, and you called me, and this was early November of just last year, and you're like, hey, I need to talk to you about my mom. She's starting to go downhill, and we want to start looking at what can we do to sell the house, save it, do whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, as soon as I get back, we're going to get together and talk. And things happened so quickly that we didn't even get a chance to do it.
Yep.
And then, of course, when your mom passed, it's just you've got other things that you need to focus on. Mm-hmm. But in the back of our mind, we're both wondering, what happens now?
What are we going to do?
What do we do? And so if you're not familiar with a reverse mortgage is, like you said, it's being advertised by these trusted actors. I think it's William Shatner and Tom Selleck, some big name actors who come forward and present that this reverse mortgage is the greatest thing. If you're having difficulty, you get comfort in knowing that you get to pay yourself from the equity of your home. Sounds great. Sounds like it should be and it's government backed. It's a government backed loan. Mm-hmm. Sounds like it should be a wonderful opportunity for somebody who's elderly and needing some assistance, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And then we started digging into the paperwork.
Yeah, and it is not good. None of it's good. They might not have a house payment, but if you don't know what you're doing when you sign up for it, you're still responsible for your taxes, your homeowner's insurance, and they force you to get extra hazard insurance. They force you to pay your taxes at the beginning of the year.
For the full year.
The full year.
Yeah.
Not 6 months worth, not 3 months. They don't allow you to get a payment plan with your county. Like, most elderly people, most people do get on
a monthly
payment plan. Most people can't pay $4,000 for their taxes at the beginning of the year, especially people on fixed income. And they require that. And if they pay it for you, now you have to pay them back.
Which we started diving into this, obviously, to say, what can we do? Because it's a great market. As a seller, we should be able to sell the home and be able to make money back. And we find out that they have all rights to the property. When she signed the documents with them, she's waived her rights of ownership. She still gets to live there. She's still owner, but there is a lien on the house that now takes priority, which means this was your family's home, I think, for 46 years. And your mom, you just lost her, and what would have rightfully been something that you would have inherited as a property and then want to be able to sell, pay off anything that needed to be done, you don't have any of that opportunity.
Nope.
And like you said, the restrictions is that it just is, we're going to pay you a portion of your equity on a monthly stipend, so that if groceries are an issue for you, or you have medical bills, or you just want a little extra income to go in hand with what you have as your monthly fixed income, that this $300 a month will help you to take care of your quality of life. It'll give you that peace of mind and comfort, financial ability to buy your groceries or do the things that you need. So you're not getting a lump sum. You're not getting anything that you can maximize your potential for. You are getting a stipend each month from that equity of what you own.
So when she did this, did she still have a mortgage?
She did not have a mortgage.
Right. She didn't have to pay the mortgage payment. She only owed, what was it, roughly $60,000, I think, on the home when she signed up for reverse mortgage.
But she had equity in it.
Before
Right.
she did this, she was paying a monthly mortgage payment.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
then they take what they deem as the value of the house and say you have this much equity, which means that we could pay you out over the lifetime of what you need in increments of $300 a month or whatever that dollar amount was. And I think when we figured this out, she might have gained the benefit not even of $10,000 over the course of the time that she had it. But in the meantime, as you said, it's her responsibility to pay the property taxes up front for the annual year, for the full year, which in this case, $4,000. If you're living on a Social Security check, do you have $4,000 that you can just pay
normally.
out? Not normally. And so she falls behind. You step up and you start helping. You start making the payment on there. They basically assess a fee because you've done this. So they pay the county auditor. You've paid the county auditor, but they're not giving you any credit for what you did.
Oh, no, and then you have to pay them back
And then you have to pay them back.
for them paying the taxes.
It was so
And you have to be
convoluted.
approved for that. You have to fill out paperwork and show that what you spend a month, or what she spent a month, on utilities, whatever, and then what she has left over, which is basically nothing, and that has to be enough for them to approve you to pay them back, or they will foreclose on the home.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
so we went through this process and we're like, look, I tried to reach out, tried to contact the mortgage holder, the reverse mortgage holder on this. And of course, they have an attorney's office who handles their phone calls and everything. Reach out to them. Go on the record that we obviously would love to sell this property because we see that there's a value in it. At this time, I believe they were saying it's like $170,000 that's now owed back to them.
For $10,000?
Well, that's what she benefited, but she didn't pay the 67. So if we're really being honest, she probably got the value of 77,000, right? But yeah, 170,000 is due back to them, and unless we can pay that all at lump sum readily, quickly, right? Then it's going to proceed with a foreclosure. So obviously, I've done short sales and foreclosure deals before, and I know the timeline. I know that it's typically you have anywhere from 3, 6 to 9 months to get something going. Well, this was January that we listed. We immediately had interest. We immediately had offers on the property. I'm still scrolling through trying to get in contact with the attorney's office. What can we do? We need to get a payoff statement. We need to know that our numbers. We actually had to adjust our list price.
Yes.
Because when they sent the payoff statement, it was more than what we
Yeah,
were
it was like,
expecting.
oh yeah, it's all of a sudden now like $3,000 more. Yeah.
And so we literally are just trying to get something out of the deal so that she has some benefit from the family home, right? And that is paid. But now we're scrambling. And lo and behold, this went on sheriff's sale. We didn't have time to close a deal, to get a contract done, even though we had multiple offers on this. And they actually sold it through the Montgomery County Sheriff's sale. Now, what I will say is they sold it back to the bank. And the writing on the wall, for those who have paid attention to what's happened in real estate before, back in '08 and '09, when there was all the foreclosure issues and everything that was going on, it was the banks who were buying back the properties. And they were doing that because the government worked out a bailout program, whereas if the bank bought this property back through an action such as a foreclosure and a sheriff's sale, that they would get compensated for buying that note back. And it's a money grab. And here I am facing this situation where I see our elderly has definitely been taken advantage of, because there was no way that she understood or knew what she was giving up her rights to with this reverse mortgage.
Correct.
No way did she understand what her benefit actually would be or not be. And nor did they have any communication with you as the rightful heir to the property. And for them to be able to, within a matter of less than 6 weeks, come in, foreclose on the house, and sell it and buy it back, there's a problem.
Yeah. And like you were saying, the money that, I don't remember my mom ever getting a check a month from those people, like for the equity in her home. She might have in the beginning before I knew about it. But I think it's because, you have equity because you don't, the loan was only for 60 grand and, you have this, but their interest rates grow and all of their fees. They do inspections like once a month.
Oh, wow.
But they don't. There is no inspection. Nobody comes out and inspects the house. But there's an inspection fee on there every month. There's hazard insurance on there. So it just grows so rapidly that like, oh, nope, you don't have any equity anymore.
Yeah, which is just absolutely, it's appalling. It should be illegal. And I think that there really needs to be a cry for somebody diving into this. I know since that you have had a conversation with an attorney's office,
Yes.
and in your own research have found all the negative reviews about this particular reverse mortgage company.
Yeah.
And
it just, the more you find out, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
And you hear the same stories over and over again of all the, additional fees, all of, somebody goes into a nursing home and they're like, oh, yep, you're not living there anymore. And it's like, even though I know that he gave me one example, somebody went into a nursing home, it was a temporary stay, but it was a long-term temporary. Like it wasn't technically, forever, but it was for rehab and stuff like that. Well, they deemed that they were no longer a resident of that house. So they were trying to take it. So that's one lawsuit that's on. And then all the fees, that's another one. There's just multitudes. And then they keep filing bankruptcy. Each of these third-party companies keep filing bankruptcy, but they're just starting it up in another name. And they're taking over and doing the same thing. So it's like, anybody that's doing that, he said, the lawyer had told me, he said, there's a few good out there that actually will help the people. He said, talk to a lawyer. If you have elderly parents, grandparents, anybody like that is even thinking about that, talk to a lawyer. Have them look at the paperwork. Don't sign anything.
Right.
Don't let your parents sign anything. If you know they've got mental issues, get a power of attorney.
Well,
so then it's not legal. If they do, then they can't hold them liable for it.
But even when you and I were going over paperwork, I mean, I'm in this business. I am by no means an attorney, but I do understand contracts and language of a loan mortgage and a note and all of that. I mean, the language that's in here is just unbelievable. Like, who signs away their rights to their home that they've lived in for 46 years?
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Just so I can get a little extra money. Well, if that were the case, maybe my better option is to say I've got equity in my home, go to the bank that knows me, and maybe I'm doing a home equity line of credit. If that gives me that extra benefit where I can use it, it's on my terms at least, right? I mean, it really scares you to realize that this is out there and that it's advocated by the government, that it's put forth out there, and that there isn't any recourse to the family members. And so you're not only dealing with the loss of a loved one, You're dealing with the loss of a family home. You're dealing with the loss of any potential or thought of a inheritance. And then you're carrying the burden of anything that comes out of that.
Correct. Yep.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. I wish that we would have known before it happened.
Yeah.
I wish that there was a way that we could have prevented your mom from signing those documents and doing this process.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I felt so strongly and wanted to make sure that I had you on here, because I know that I see these reverse mortgage commercials all the time.
Constantly.
And it's really aired at times where it's prying on the elderly, the people who are home, and the people who maybe would pick up a phone before they thought or asked a question or somebody had an opportunity to step in. And yes, there may be a reverse mortgage that works and a company that is there doing what they need to do. Maybe the intention was right and it was intended well. But once companies get in there and they have an easy out and they can make the money grab, then it's just prime for being taken advantage of.
How common do you think that this is?
Too common.
It's unfortunate, and I don't have the numbers as to how many of these reverse mortgages are out there, but it's for homeowners that are 62 and older. And they specifically are saying if your medical needs are greater, if you need financial assistance, if you have equity sitting in your mortgage. I mean, they're hitting all of those talking points that somebody who's paid off their mortgage or almost paid it off or only owes a little bit, you're sitting there with equity value of $100,000 or more, and you think, well, I won't have to worry about this for the rest of my life. I can just take it out.
Yeah.
It's just sad.
Yeah. Because, in that generation, they're not computer. I mean, I'm not saying that, that all elderly people are, don't know how to use computers and stuff, but, people that was my mom's age and stuff, they weren't raised on computers and iPhones and, they don't know how to do a Google search and, search things up. And so she had no idea.
Right.
She had no idea. So and most elderly people don't. They just see an easy way out.
So if you are thinking about or facing a financial situation and you believe that maybe you have equity in your home, I have had conversations with people, not just elderly, but with people in general who, when they tell me what their specific financial situation is and what they actually need to be able to accomplish, selling the home may not be the right answer. There may be other alternatives. And because of that license that I hold, as a realtor, because it's my fiduciary responsibility to make sure that the customer, the client that I am serving, is actually their best interest being served. It's not about me getting paid. It's about making sure they understand what are their options. And maybe if they see a reverse mortgage versus a HELOC versus a home equity or, any of those differentials, or a private loan that may be able to step in there that doesn't take away the ownership of their home, they can actually make that decision. And sometimes it's not just a single person that you're talking to, but you want the family involved in that conversation, because mom might make a rash decision for herself, but if she was thinking about how it affects you, then maybe that decision would be different.
Right.
And maybe your decision would be different for her if you understood, and maybe she's more fluid in talking with an outsider about what her situation is or what her concerns are. So there's a reason why a third neutral party who absolutely is familiar with the process but also wants what's best for the client is really an important part.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, thanks for coming out, and I appreciate you sharing with us.
course.
I know that it's hard and it's difficult, and this fight is not over.
No, it is not. It is not. It is
And-
definitely not. And, and anybody out there, if you are on reverse mortgage, contact a lawyer.
Yeah.
Contact a lawyer and have them get all of your statements from these places, because they're not real good about sending you the statements, but get them and let lawyers look over them, because I guarantee you there are fees, there are charges that you're not aware of that's being placed on there, so that, $50,000 that you got the reverse mortgage on is now, $200,000. And yeah, What are you going to do? So,
And certainly, if your feedback is to let us know, because I only know about these situations because of clients who have endured or gone through something. And so if there is somebody who has had a positive experience on reverse mortgage, it's not just about slamming it, it's to make sure that enough information is out there. So share with us in our comments below that, you know that there's a reverse mortgage company that has good ratings or that has worked well for your family members, or maybe a different perspective, because that's what it's ultimately all about, is the perspective that comes in here. It was a wake-up call for me because I know I had talked with my aunt about a potential reverse mortgage on hers, and there were just too many questions that we couldn't get answers.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that when she wanted to have that conversation, she allowed me to be there. And I just wish that I could have helped with your mom.
Yeah, me too. I know. Living in another state when she did it, didn't know anything about it. I lived in another state for almost 4 years and came back, and she mentioned something one day, and I was like, what? Do what? And so she's telling me, and I was like, no, what have you done? And so I even had them come out to the house, and there was nothing I could do.
Yeah.
Nothing I could do. So, and they give you the big spiel. Oh, well, when something happens to her.
Yeah. They weren't there for you, were they?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. It's really sad. So, again, we apologize for the bad timing.
Yeah.
Things happened, and it happened so quickly.
Very.
But our condolences.
Thank you.
And obviously, if we get any more information, this is always something that we would want to update.
Oh, yeah.
And good luck with maybe that future endeavor there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because it's not over.
Thanks for joining us today on the Realty Podcast. If you enjoyed the knowledge and entertainment today, please subscribe and share with your friends. We will be embarking on a journey that bridges the gap between realtors and clients, uncovering the heart and tea of real estate.